UFC 264 tomorrow night. Absolutely, man. But more importantly, we got the main event.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier, the third fight, the trilogy, going down in Vegas. Whew. I'm excited for this.
What time do you think this thing's gonna kick off?
Who? Their fight?
Yeah.
They're not getting in that ring until midnight, bro.
I hope I can catch it.
They are not getting into that ring until midnight.
'Cause I got a band gig.
That's midnight at the earliest too. So you might be good.
That's what I mean. I don't know if we're gonna go past like 11, even 12. Maybe I'll be able to catch it where I'm at then. You know what I mean?
You should. Well, now this is the thing though, because it's pay-per-view. I don't know how your situation
That's what
is.
I mean.
Yeah, I don't know if you know how you go about watching your pay-per-views. We're not gonna leave it, we're not gonna go into the details of how you typically do it, but that's the part that you just gotta be a little bit of cautious of. Because I know I ran into
I gotta try to find someone that buys it. That's about it.
Because I ran into that issue when I was that Penn State a couple weeks ago at that golf thing, and the who was fighting? That was the Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori pay-per-view fight, and I remember being like, dang, I'm out. I had to like get it on my phone, and it was crazy, but it worked out though. Shout out to technology here. But man, I'm excited about this fight, man. I am. Number one, it's the trilogy. We've seen both of these guys win.
The rubber match.
We've seen both of these guys win in spectacular fashion. Obviously, Dustin with the most recent win, where he had the second round TKO of Conor McGregor. That was what, 6 months ago? If that.
It wasn't too long.
It wasn't even that long ago. Yeah, and then obviously when they first fought, a while ago, this would have been both of their first like UFC fights. So you can imagine how many years ago that was. Conor McGregor obviously knocked out Dustin Poirier in the first round. But obviously they're a lot bigger now. Obviously fighting at 155. They officially made weight at 156. So shout out to them two guys for that. But to me, man, I'm torn here. I'm torn. If I'm Dana White, I know who I want to win. You want Conor to win if you're Dana White, because he's already said that the winner of this fight is going to fight Charles Oliveira for the lightweight championship next fight, which is huge. So you need Conor to get back to that belt. Conor gets that belt. That's the money. The UFC machine continues to flourish, and we're all happy. Dustin wins, it still can sell, but it's not the same. Dustin isn't the same level of star as Conor McGregor.
McGregor's the reason I'm watching it.
Absolutely.
I don't even know if I can call myself a French fan. I watch McGregor. Yeah. I watch the big fights, and this is one of the big fights.
McGregor's the reason why we're talking about this on the main show, and I'm not talking about it on my little the fight. You know what I mean? That's the difference, because it's Conor McGregor here. He sells. He's called it anytime he's fighting, it's the red panty fight, because that means you break out the nice your woman break out the nice draw, because you about to make bank. It's gonna change your life. That's
win
what
or
he
lose,
calls it.
Doesn't
win or lose, he breaks the bank. That's what he does, and he owns literally all of the pay-per-view rankings. He has all the big gates in terms of the tickets sold, pay-per-view buys. He does that. That's what he does. He moves the needle. But Dustin Poirier. Dustin hasn't lost a fight in his last. I'm trying to think. His last fight was I think the last time he lost was to Khabib. It's been a minute, bro.
And Conor's been pretty much average these past however many fights.
You can make a case that Conor is 0 for his last couple fights, right? So the last fight that he won was against Cowboy Cerrone. Now Cowboy was older. And Cowboy was on a 3-fight losing streak at the time, and then lost again.
Didn't he knock him out in like 10 seconds or something?
Yeah, he hit him with the shoulders, and then, disoriented him after he knocked him out. But outside of that, Conor has lost his past couple fights, man. And granted, Dustin Poirier, it was a little bit more competitive in that first, and then obviously in the second, once he damaged the leg, it was over. With Conor, I don't know. Is he slowing down? Because, he was at the pinnacle of this game, man, when he became
is this going to be a Ronda Rousey type of thing?
Right. I don't think it's to that point. Because with Ronda, man, her flaw, it showed in a big way. Her stand-up was just bad. And once they recognized that, mentally, she was checked out as well. Whereas at least with Conor,
he could still fight with anyone.
And I feel like Ronda looked like she was still embarrassed to lose, whereas Conor just chalks it up to the game. You heard when Conor lost to Dustin last time, he was just like, yo, man, it was a good scrap. I got my hits in, but at the end of the day, I have to be in here more often so I could be a better fighter, and that's what I'm going to keep doing. I'm not about to retire. Whereas when Ronda lost, obviously she got whooped up by Holly Holm the first time, and then it took her forever to come back, and she just looked like a deer in the headlights as soon as she got punched by Nunes. It was like, oh, all right, I don't want to be here anymore. And we saw her retire right after that. I don't feel like with Conor is to that point. I think Conor's still going to fight and still going to give up. It's going to be a good show. The reason what I'm saying with Conor is I think he's slowing down is he's not knocking out guys the way that he used to. He used to have this just one punch ability to just, if he taps you, man, it's over. Right now, we're not seeing that with him, at least these past couple of fights. So if Dustin can make this fight go past the first round and make this fight really become a mixed martial arts fight, that's what I'm concerned about with Conor, because I just don't know if he's going to be able to put him down.
Dude, that first one, or not the first one.
The one that just happened, yeah.
The one that just happened. That is the interesting thing, because I felt like even though Poirier got the, I don't know if you want to call them lucky breaks, with him hitting Conor's leg like that, even outside of that, I felt like he was kind of winning the fight. Like he was.
He definitely won the first round. I thought he was doing well in the second round up until his leg started to get compromised. But that is a part of mixed martial arts.
Yeah, it is. But do you say that's a fluke or no?
I don't say it's a fluke, because John Jones, who's been dominant, that's one of his main things. He will kick your leg until you can't put. And the reason why you do it is Conor's a striker. So as a striker, you're heavy, a lot of pressure on that front leg, because that's what gets you your power when you're transforming your body weight from back leg to front leg when you're following through with your punch. So if I can damage that lead leg, you're not going to step into that punch. Think of quarterback. Ben, step into his throws when he's healthy, it's going to be a rocket. When he can't step into that, it's not going to be it's not going to have that same velocity on it. So you use it to make that striker have to fight a little bit more on his heels. And now from there, you can get a takedown, take him to the ground, and go and so forth from there. So that's why I don't think it was a fluke. I just thought Conor didn't believe that Dustin would continue to do it. Because most fighters, they might kick once or twice and they're going to go back to just trying to strike you and kick you in your chest and face, stuff like that. Whereas Dustin, he really took that John Jones approach of, I'm just going to keep kicking his leg then. I mean, Israel Adesanya, he's another guy who does that as well, man. So yeah.
How are you feeling about the fight then? Because McGregor's actually the underdog right now. He is
a slight underdog right now, man. Which makes sense, though, because Dustin is the hotter fighter. Dustin is the more productive fighter of lately as well. Dustin's been in there with some dogs, and he's come out of that thing, man. Whereas Conor, we haven't really seen him with the dogs like that. Now, he got in there with Dustin Poirier, and we saw how that went. But with Conor, you just never know, because Conor's so dynamic on his feet, man. When he gets to throwing them hands like that, like, he is capable of shutting out Dustin's lights, but Dustin doesn't get knocked out. That's the thing. It's the diamond for a reason. He's called the diamond. Pressure makes diamonds, man. He's not falling off. Like, my man's going to be game for this fight. Now, I do like that we are seeing a little bit of the old version of Conor from the press conference standpoint, where he's lively, amped up. You saw him throw the kick at because we talked about it a little bit earlier. We were just teasing, had it in the background, but he did throw a kick at Dustin during the weigh-in, and I do like that, because to me, when Conor is in this crazy mode, when Conor is on edge, when Conor feels like, yo, I'm like just untouchable, we see him show up and perform in big moments like that. He's a big fighter, like a big fighter. You know what I mean? Like, he gets up for these type of fights. So I do think that could help him, because initially Dustin Poirier said when he lost to him the first time, that's what it got him. He was like, man, mentally, I hated this guy going into this fight, that when we got in there, I wasn't even thinking about my skills and technique. I was trying to kill him. And he got knocked out, where he was like, this past fight, Conor was nice to him, and he went in there, he was kind of chill. And then after that, he obviously won. So that's the part to me that's going to be, interesting to see, how does Conor do, and how does Dustin handle that now that he's shifted it back to the bad blood, the I don't like you, I'm going to disrespect you publicly thing.
So you're giving the edge. Like, I was going to say, if there's any takeaways then from the weigh-in and what happened earlier today, you think Conor has somewhat of an edge from that? Did you see anything in Poirier where he's like, if Conor, he might have something?
Well, and shout out to the Duke of Dunhurst. He brings up about Conor circling away from the leg kicks. I was going to say, he either has to check the leg kick, circle away from the leg kick, but he has to at least acknowledge it. Last fight, he never acknowledged it. He just figured that, man, I'm going to knock this guy out. And he was landing some really good shots, but Dustin is a tough guy to put down and put away like that. And I just don't think that he really believed that Dustin would keep coming back to those kicks. And when it finally caught up to him, it was too late. To me, if Conor can adjust that part, I like Conor from a stand-ups. I like when he's standing up. I think that he's going to cause a lot of problems for Dustin. Now, if Dustin gets him to the ground, it becomes interesting, because we know that's not what Conor excels in. but he has improved throughout. But that's not what he specializes in.
Yeah.
So that's another part of the game where we haven't really seen him get there just yet. I mean, Cowboy Cerrone, we talked about him and his ground game similar to Nate Diaz, but we never saw it get to that point because he was able to knock him out. If he gets down on the ground, what does that look like for Conor? Which Conor are we going to see? Are we going to see him trying to explode off the ground? Is he going to be, just content laying there like we saw versus Khabib? Like, you just don't know. So that's the other element of it with him, man. But if I had to lean one way, I was going to
say, if you're putting money,
if I'm leaning one way, I lean Conor because he has knockout ability. He has the ability to shut Dustin's lights off, and we know that he will hit Dustin. Like, certain fighters, we say, man, like if you're watching Floyd, you're like, yo, you're not going to be able to, he's not going to never get that clean shot on Floyd. You watch John Jones early in his career, it's like, yo, he never really gets hit. Dustin gets hit. Conor is going to hit Dustin plenty of times. It's just going to be, can Dustin's chin hold up, which it typically does. And then from there, has Conor adjusted to these kicks? Because if he's adjusted to the kicks, I do think just by the accumulation, Conor can't stop him. And we've seen him do it before. But if Conor doesn't adjust to those kicks, now you're going to be in trouble again, man.
Does Poirier come in with a nice little counter thing, though, where he's expecting that McGregor is going to be worried about the kicks? Like, then what's his play?
Say it again now?
What's his play then? Connor's really adjusting for the kicks. You got to think coming in that Connor's going to be thinking about the kicks a lot. So you got to have kind of like the counter to that, where it's like, maybe I'm not, for this one, I'm not going to be focusing on the kicks as much because Connor's going to be way over focused on it. Like, what do you think Poirier's counter is then? It's either take him to the ground or you fight up top, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you have that element, but also Dustin can, Dustin has the power to I don't think he would, because we haven't really seen.
Can you do a little fake kick?
No, this is the thing though. I was going to say, like, Dustin has power. Like, Dustin can hurt Conor. We just haven't seen Conor ever get like knocked out, like his lights shut out, but Dustin can still punch as well. Like, this is weird because
I guess he's the number one fighter right now for a reason.
Fighter, huh? Right? Dustin, he doesn't get the respect because he's fighting Conor McGregor. If this is Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje, we're all gonna have a different feeling about it. But when it's against Conor, Conor is the biggest athlete we've seen in UFC. Like,
and we just said his last 4 or 5 fights, you're just like, bro, he's average, but it's going off the name recognition.
Because of what you've seen him do in some of these moments where the odds were stacked against him. Like, I remember watching him knock out Jose Aldo, a guy who was a killer, a guy who was the most dominant champion ever. He knocked him out in 6 seconds, one shot. Like, I've seen that. I've seen him bump up and fight Eddie Alvarez and become the double champ, knocked him out. Like, I've seen this. So it's like, man, even when you're like, yo, I can't, man, Dustin's fire right now. Dustin's hot. Dustin can do this. Dustin just beat him. I'm like, bro, but I've seen Conor. I've seen this man with the odds stacked up against him, man. I've seen this dude.
So this is a heart and head thing then, huh?
Yeah, man. I'm just like, certain guys, you're just like, yo, they're going to beat their chest, bite down on that mouthpiece, and he's game for that. Like, that's what he brings to the table. And I'm part Irish too. So, I'm very biased towards my Irish people out here, man. Any of my Irish people in the chat, man, y'all know we got love for y'all,
would this be the fight where that confidence flips, though? If McGregor loses, are you feeling the same way for his future fights? Well, maybe it'll be against lesser opponents. So.
Yeah, that's the thing, too. Like, it's not like Conor's fighting a bum. If Conor loses to Dustin, I'm not tripping. Dustin was the intern champ, and if it wasn't for him fighting arguably one of the greatest, I don't say Khabib is the greatest, but he's one of the greatest. If it wasn't for Dustin fighting him, Dustin would be the champ already. Dustin is a really good fighter. We talked about Charles. I talked about Charles Oliveira and one of his fights early when he won. I feel like Dustin matches up well with him. Like, I like any of these guys. Well, more so Dustin, because Dustin has a little bit more ground. Whereas with Conor on the ground, Charles might hit him with the and my man gonna tap. He will tap that. That's the one thing Conor will do.
So I was listening earlier.
Mm-hmm.
They took this fight because Poirier could fight.
He could have fought. Yeah, he could have fought. But
he chose this one.
This is the money fight. He's gonna make more money in this fight than he will fighting for that belt. If this was the next fight. If it was,
what would you have done
for me?
You got a chance at the belt. You got a chance at the belt or the money.
Listen, I've said this before.
Has he ever had a belt?
He had the intern belt. The intern belt is cool, but it's not the actual belt. So I'll say this, man. When I played football, before I ever wanted to win a championship, I wanted to get paid.
You wanted that second contract.
I wanted the second contract. Like, that was always my mindset. And that's why I always laugh, like when people, whenever we're critical, or if I'm critical of the Steelers or a Ben or a player, and somebody's like, oh man, you just hate the team and you're jealous you didn't get a Super Bowl. And I'm like, actually, no. Like when I played, like I didn't care about that at the time. Like I still wanted to win. Don't get that wrong. And I still put that work in. But for me, it was about making sure I was gonna get money to change my family. That was my biggest driving force. Once I got paid, then it was like, all right, now let's fight for a ring. But that never was this like driving thing for me. So with Dustin,
is he paid enough?
Dustin's story, Dustin hasn't been paid. Dustin got paid nicely when he fought Conor last one, but he hasn't really broken.
Why not double up on that, huh?
Right. This is about to be you thought his last payday was his biggest payday. This is about to be Dustin's biggest payday. So if I'm Dustin, I'm like, bro, that belt is cool and it's gonna obviously come with some things, but what's gonna last longer? I tell you to this day, I know Super Bowl champions that are living with their mother right now. I know Super Bowl champions that have sold their rings. How many times do we hear the stories of Super Bowl champ or NCAA champ and this is their ring pawned off at auction because they don't pay for it? Yeah, if I'm Dustin, I'm not tripping on that, man. I'm about to go get this money here. And if I beat Conor, I know I got to bet. I could beat Charles. So you feel confident either way. But you gotta get that check though, man.
I was gonna say, what's his waiting time if he loses? Then you think he's got to win. Then he's got to win more fights. Mm-hmm. Is it another 2 years before he's gonna get a shot at the belt? Then
who? Conor?
No.
Oh, Dustin. If Dustin loses this fight, he'll probably challenge for the belt a year from now. So because what had happened is this, right? So in this fight, Conor versus Dustin, they had Rafael Dos Anjos. He was supposed to be like the extra guy if one of those guys missed weight. So what essentially is going to happen is this: the winner of this fight obviously is going to fight for the belt versus Charles Oliveira. The loser is probably going to fight Rafael Dos Anjos.
Where's he at? 2 or 3?
I'm trying to think right now. Where is he? Oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank on it. I might be able to pull it up. But he's still in that same mix though, right? So what ends up was probably going to happen. Whoever loses this fight,
weight is this?
This is at 155. So whoever loses this fight is probably going to be fighting Rafael Dos Anjos. And that's how they're going to play that. And then whoever wins that is probably going to go and you either get a rematch.
This middleweight? Is that what's considered?
No. This is a lightweight.
Okay.
Yeah.
So hold on, I'm pulling it up right now. Yeah, because this is it. This is all on UFC. So hold on. Featherweight, flyweight. Mm-hmm. Okay, I got it. All
right.
So you got, oh man, where's this? He's at 7.
Okay.
You got Ferguson 6, McGregor's at 5, Chandler at 4, Darius at 3, Gaethje at 2, Poirier's at 1, and then Oliveira.
Yeah, you got some options in there. Either like Gaethje is another guy who's going to be in that mix for another fight. You said who else was in there? You said
Chandler, Tony Ferguson, Darius,
Danush. Was it Benil? Is that Benil?
Yeah.
Danush.
I think there's an I there. I could be wrong.
I can't even see it from
Darius.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, whoever loses this fight is gonna fight one of those guys again, probably. Well, if Dustin loses, he will fight one of those guys. If Conor loses, it's different because he's such a money fight.
He could just keep fighting the one, or like even the champ, maybe.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing.
Would that have been too much of a step up if he was just like, I want to fight Oliveira?
No, the thing was because
like even if he loses this, could he have a chance to get the belt?
If it was up to Dana would have done that.
Okay.
But to give a little bit of integrity to the rankings, that's why they can't do it. Because even though we know we're all going to tune in, right? We know we're all going to tune in for it, but it's just like, all right, Dustin Poirier, he's on this fight win streak. Why would you have Conor jump him? Now, granted, for the people that just want to tune in for those type of fights, yeah, you watch it. But for the sport, for the other guys in that division, it
alienating your audience maybe a little bit.
Absolutely, man.
Because this is. I'm trying to think what fights I've watched. I'll probably watch 3 or 4 throughout a year. Mm-hmm. But there's people that like you. You're gonna watch. You're gonna watch every one, so you don't want to turn that off. Where it's just like, oh man, it doesn't even matter. These rankings don't matter. Just the flow, the storylines on a year by year basis don't matter. It's just if you're a big name, you could just fight for the title belt, whatever you want. So you don't you don't want to completely separate that off by those type of decisions.
But you bring us some good points though about that, man. Let's see. Justin Conway, he also says, I've bought every Conor McGregor pay-per-view that he sells. I'm with you. I definitely pay for his, man. Him and John Jones are the 2 guys that I always would pay for. And now Amanda Nunes, because she started killing people.
You're saying she's the GOAT?
Yeah. Like she's in that conversation for a fact. It's just the reason why it's hard for me to say one specific GOAT, because obviously you have your George St. Pierre's and stuff like that. And you have John Jones. And with John, it's different because he's never been beaten in the ring, or excuse me, in the cage. But he has had some tests pop up, things that come up, and you're just like, I don't know. It's too many little things surrounding you right now that makes me question, was that legitimate or not? That's the only thing with
Patriots in the early 2000s.
Like that's what it feels like.
Seriously,
honestly, man.
You got the Rams talking about it. You got the Steelers. Whenever we were in the AFC Championships, it's like, bro, we were running these plays.
So
that no one knew about, but somehow they knew the exact thing we were doing.
And like, you watch John Jones, he knocks out Daniel Cormier, pops for picograms of the amount of steroids, like small amount, and there's like, but it was in there. Oh, it shouldn't have an effect, but it was in there. Catch my drift? Then it's like, oh, okay, beat this.
Deflated footballs.
Oh, deflated footballs. Check this out.
All of a sudden, no fumbles.
So you ready for this? You ready for deflated footballs? This is the John Jones version, right? He's supposed to fight. Oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank on the big Swedish guy. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm drawing a blank on his name. But the fight.
Blahovic?
No, not Blahovic. No, this dude, he's not even fighting right now. Oh my goodness. But they were supposed to fight in Vegas. Something happened with his test. They moved the fight from Vegas to California in a span of like 2 days, bro. Because in California, they could still get the fight to go on without him having to be cleared from the Vegas commission. Yes. And he wins the fight. It was nice. It was a dope fight. I'm drawing a blank on my guy's name.
Maybe someone will comment it.
Yeah, I'm about to say, man, because oh my goodness. Oh, dude, what is his name? Oh man. It's not Alexander.
So UFC isn't separate from the Vegas commissioner, the states you're fighting in.
It's no different than boxing, right? Wherever you're boxing, you have your boxing commission, but then you also have like the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and they sanction the fights. They basically say, excuse me, from a health standpoint, like, hey, these fighters are evenly matched enough, they can fight. Okay, this guy is healthy enough to go into this fight, he can fight. This person is old enough to fight, they can fight. Those are all the things. So each state is different. So it was times where up until, matter of fact, the fight when Conor McGregor knocked out Eddie Alvarez in New York City, right, to win the belt there, that was the first like MMA fight in New York in like 50 years, because for the longest time, New York wasn't the New York Athletic Commission. They wouldn't sanction cage fights. So even though you can see UFC fights happening in Florida, you can see them happen in Vegas, California, even in Canada and different countries, they could never have those fights in New York until that recently changed. And the person's name that I finally found it, man.
I would have helped you. I just wouldn't have known what to look up.
No, it's Alexander Gustafsson.
Okay.
Gustafsson. That's his name, man. I call him the Big Sweden. I was like, man, I can't remember his name though. But yeah, so they had already fought initially, and John had one that was like super tight. But they were supposed to fight again, and literally like 2 days before the fight, whatever is happening, and then they just moved him. It was like, it's crazy, bro.
And he ends up winning.
Yeah.
Damn,
it was nuts,
man.
bro. It was nuts, man. Yeah. So you can see right there, it's like we've never seen John lose in the ring, or excuse me, in the cage, but you see these little janky things that happen around him, and you're just like, was that legitimate? I don't know. I can't definitively say yes or no, but that's why I can't necessarily say he's the GOAT or Nunes the GOAT, or drawing it back to Khabib being the GOAT. I wish Conor was the GOAT, but Conor has faltered a little bit too much for us.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So he's got a chance. That was one of my questions. Is he going to be like an all-time great, like number one
in terms
McGregor?
Of McGregor?
What does he got to do?
McGregor is forever going to be mentioned in the pantheon of UFC fighters because he was the first guy to be the double champ. He was the first guy to hold two belts simultaneously at the same time. That had never been done until he did it. He also was he's made the most money in terms of UFC combat fighters, but just in general, he was on Forbes list recently. I know we know a lot of that dealt with him selling his company, but still, like in terms of how much money he's made, this is the biggest earner in UFC. Like no one has come close to this. So you talk about money, you talk about history, you talk about star power, calling your shots. Like when he called that he was going to knock out Jose Aldo in the first round, this is a guy that we had never seen get knocked out. This is a guy that was killing people, like I said, for years. One of the most dominant champs we've ever seen. And for him to do that on that stage, and then you followed up by knocking out a guy that was a bigger fighter than you in New York City, the first fight in Madison Square Garden, like, so he's forever going to be viewed in that conversation. But I don't think, if you're talking about fighting purists, I don't think he's ever going to be.
You think these last 4 or 5 screwed him though? Like, what if he would have retired on top?
I don't think those last 4 or 5 would have screwed him. I think that he couldn't have retired off top. It would have been too short still for him.
Okay.
Like it was still like a meteoric rise, but it was still going to be condensed, because you could point and say, well, all right, he beat this dude. This guy was probably the better matchup, but because that guy had lost, he didn't have to fight him. Okay. And then he never defended any of the belts either.
Like that.
So that was a knock on
that
work.
Plays into account.
Right. Whereas when you talk about John, you talk about Usman, you talk about Amanda Nunes, these people have defended this thing 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times. Like, that's tough. Like, that's why John is always in the conversation, because how many times he's had to defend that belt, man.
Has he got enough in his prime or he can make these nice runs?
Who? Conor?
Yeah.
Absolutely can. Absolutely.
4 or 5 years.
He's always going to have the star run. He always has a star run. That's the thing with Conor. Conor, man, if Conor, this is the Conor effect. Let Conor knock out Dustin, or just win. He doesn't have to knock one. Just win this fight versus Dustin and find a way to get that belt versus Charles Oliveira.
GOAT.
They'll be back in that conversation.
Okay.
100% they'll put it back.
It could be that quick.
100% he'll be back in that conversation. Don't let him knock out both of those dudes.
Will it be legitimate though? Like,
it wouldn't be legitimate, but you could make a case for it though, if that makes sense. It's kind of like when we talk about Ben, right? You'll make the case that, hey man, Ben can be a number 1 quarterback if we're ranking quarterbacks, right? We can say how legitimate is it, but you can legit make a case for it. That's how to be with Conor. If Conor wins these next 2 and gets the belt,
I'm rooting for Conor.
Right. I know you are. Yeah, but if Conor does that,
I'm going to be coming in a year saying Conor's the GOAT.
Yeah, so if Conor does do that, then yeah, that would be the case. Like, because you're going to point to the fact that, well, he did do these things. He left, made that money, fought Floyd, came back, got beat, boom, boom, knocked this guy out who was extremely hot, winning streak, and then went ahead and won the belt again. Oh, that's unheard of. That's crazy. So yeah, if that does happen, then yeah, for a fact, he'll be the guy then.
So you're leaning Conor.
I am though.
I am too. I want to see him win.
Yeah, I am. And JB, man,
I think I put 30 on him on the last fight. I was like, oh, it's McGregor. Yeah. He's gonna win. He lost me $30, but you know what? You always come back.
Fights, man. Got to put money on these big fights. Now it's time to start taking these predictions, man. So I seen Steeler Nation 412. He just put his in. That made me think of it. So man, let us know in the chat, man. Predictions, man. Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier for the 3rd fight. Who gets it done? Let us know.
Steeler Nation 412. Dustin 4th round KO.
Uh-oh.
That'd be good if it goes at least over 3 rounds. Mm-hmm. No matter what.
Anything over 2 rounds, I feel like I got my money's worth. Anything over 2 rounds.
Yeah, what was the last one was in the 2nd round, right?
Yeah. Like a lot of these fights, when it comes to
Conor's Cowboy one, that was a ripoff.
Dude, like, no, but like literally, this would have been Kamaru Usman when he knocked out Jorge Masvidal, Street Jesus, what they call him, right? 5 main event fights. All 5 ended in knockout. I think all 5 lasted less than 2 rounds. It was like 2 rounds or under for all 5 cards, all on the main event pay-per-view. That's when for me, I'm like, I loved it because it was so exciting. It was a lot of action, but at the same time, you're like, bruh, I kind of feel like I got robbed here because I've only seen maybe 2 minutes of actual fights.
Yeah.
That's the other thing with it, man.
People were pissed at me because I was hanging with my friends that night, and I told them, "Hey, McGregor fight's on. Let's buy it. Let's stay in and everything." So we stay in, and we're watching like the build up UFC ones. Yeah. Finally, McGregor's fighting Cerrone,
quick, bro.
And they were like, "You got to be kidding me!" I'm like, "Oh, my bad, guys."
So quick. But that's another reason why I do like to go out sometimes when I watch these fights, because it kind of gives me that worst case. If these fights end quick, I didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
But if they do happen to go longer, if they do have an abrupt end, at least there's other stuff happening as well.
Yeah, exactly.
To give you some action and stuff like that, man. So looks like
people are saying Dustin.
Oh.
We got Jebby Roy.
Okay.
I got to go with Conor, 2nd round KO.
Okay. Oh, see, I saw the wrong Jebby Roy comment. I saw something about his wife. Oh, Lord. Why y'all getting on my man wife, man? Jeez. Chill. All right, though. Ooh, the Duke of Dunhurst, though. He says he thinks that McGregor will pull off the Nate Diaz style win. Okay. Now, what he's talking about in that, Nate Diaz, when they first fought, he choked out Conor McGregor. Second round, rear naked choke, Conor tapped. Now, this is right after we're seeing Conor win, and Conor's supposed to challenge for the, he's supposed to fight up to win that second belt. The guy ended up getting hurt, so he had to take this fight a little bit short notice. Comes back, fights him again. He turns down the title fight. Conor did what Dustin did. Conor turned down the title fight and said, I want to fight Nate again to get my lick back. Ultimately takes him 5 rounds. It was an absolute bloodbath.
Did some people think that Diaz won that?
Some people thought he did. Anytime a fight goes 5 rounds, though, and it's that competitive back and forth, you're going to get that. So I don't ever view that as a bad thing. I think that's more so just a salute to the fighters. Like, you wanted to be one of those tight, man, it could have went either way. And that's what that fight was right there, man. It was legit, though. I could see Dustin. I could see this fight with Dustin doing that as well. I could definitely see that, man. Because Dustin's more than game. Dustin is definitely tough enough. Yeah, I could see that.
Steven Rhodes. Dustin makes Conor tap.
I could see that too. Because Dustin on the ground is way better than Conor on the ground. Conor on the ground, that's his biggest flaw right now.
Dustin gonna knock your boy out, Dana. This is from Bat 300.
Dustin has the power to do it. I just personally don't think that
Dana White knocks out Dustin.
He would, because he needs Conor to win. I'm telling you, man. Dana will be praying to whatever he believes in tonight and tomorrow leading up to that fight that Conor McGregor wins. Because he knows if Conor wins, you know the little memes where you see the dollar signs popping in the head, like that's all he's gonna be thinking of, because he knows, we've just broke the bank. Like, it's over. Conor's fighting for the belt again. Just him fighting for the belt. This fight is massive just because it's Conor fighting again. Let it be for the belt next time? Oh my God. Bro, so that's the part that is different.
Deke versus Jake Paul.
I used to say I would like you in that, but I done seen Jake kind of touch some people now, man. So
who was his last one?
His last
Askren.
Yeah, Ben Askren. Yep.
Did you see some of those? I'm not even into it like that, but his interviews were hilarious afterwards. He's like, I got paid more with this than any of my other fights.
No, because that's the knock on UFC. That's why a lot of the people, like the fighters, they started to get pissed with Conor, because Conor this is before they made the shift to ESPN. Conor made so much money with pay-per-view that he was, the amount of money he would get before he even had a belt like that, compared to some of these champions who've been fighting forever, it was 3-1, 5-1 at times. And they're just like, yo, who is this little Irish cat coming in here talking greasy to every single body and making this type of money? But that's the difference. You know what I mean? And then when he did the promotion with Mayweather, it just took it to a whole nother level, man. So yeah.
Gotta sell your fights better, that's all.
But it was perfect storm. And Dana, you could see the promotion engine behind it. And that's why
he wasn't as focused on other people.
And that's why a lot of the guys would call Conor Dana's little baby. That's his little, he's promoting him, he's saving him, he's putting him in these favorable matchups. And then Khabib would be pissed because Khabib was like, I'm beating everybody, yo. So they would that's what they would have.
I never heard about him until the Conor fight, but
because they went and promoted.
He was undefeated.
Dominant. Bro, you watch his fights and it was almost boring. Think Floyd Mayweather.
Oh, that McGregor fight was terrible.
It reminds you of Floyd Mayweather. All right, this dude just can't get touched, and it becomes to the point where you're just like, well, I'm so bored with it, I just don't like watching you anymore. So you would watch Khabib, and it's because he could hold a grown man down and just punch him whenever he wanted to. Dude's just I don't want to watch this anymore. Yeah,
that's what it was. It was so boring. Mm-hmm. It was you're beating McGregor because he can't get up on the ground, but this is terrible for TV.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, now Eric Hargrave says he's got Conor with the win in under 1 minute. If Conor does that, I can assure you, Dana White. But what I just said, he might die from just the thought of how much money he's gonna be able to generate off of Conor. I don't think you understand. You got that golden piggy bank that you walk around. That's how he looks at Conor McGregor, bro. The promotion that they put behind him is insane, bro. Insane. But that's why other fighters get mad. John Jones, he was another guy. He was pissed because he's like, yo, I'm way better of a fighter, way dominant, have lasted way longer. But the promotion behind John is nowhere near the same. Now, it was nice when he fought Daniel Cormier the first time because they had the bad blood and they really hated each other. But once those storylines ended for John, the promotion behind him ended as well. It wasn't the same, man. So that's the part with Conor that he's different, bro. He's different, man. I'm
excited for it. Hopefully I can check it out.
Yeah, man. But It's a good little mix, but it looks like, man, I feel like they liking Conor in here, man. They're confident in Conor, man.
Yeah.
Dude, man, I feel like I'm gonna have to like start. Man, I'm gonna go live next time I do one of these fight breakdowns because I'm seeing people bring up Sugar Shane O'Malley. I'm like, man, I love Sean O'Malley. He's on this card as well. That's the guy with the crazy hair that you asked about.
Yeah.
Like, man, he's another one of those up and coming guys that if he can put together a string of wins, he's trying to do the Conor thing in terms of like how he sell the fight. Like, he's very charismatic. He's a very just dynamic game fighter, but he's still young, very inexperienced. That's another guy we got. Man,
that's a good point because I recognize him whenever we pulled up the cards. I was like, I've seen him on videos or something with his hair and shit. Is he actually good? And you're saying like he's legit? He's legit.
He's just young right now, man. He lost one fight, but the joke with him is he always says he's undefeated. Every time they read off his record, he's like 0 losses because when he got beat, he got hurt in the fight. He hurt his ankle.
And it had nothing to do with the fight.
Right. Yeah, it was just here. He got hurt. He like literally he was walking in the ring and like rolled his ankle. You can see it like roll over. Really? And from there he's like limping. Then after that he goes down. He's just kind of like covering up. So that's why he's always like, I ain't lose. 0 losses.
I don't blame him for saying that. Yeah.
But just like, so it's funny, but he's still really good, but he's young though. That's the thing. So he hasn't really been tested yet, but in the fights that he has had, he's looked really good, man.
This is just the next step for him. This one.
Well, no, this would be an easy fight for him.
Man. Oh, it is.
I mean, he's fighting a dude who's making a debut, so this would be an easy fight. He should look great in this fight. He should knock this guy out.
Then what's his next one?
Well, that's the thing. If he can get this knockout right here, then the next one should be a little bit of a test for him.
Okay. Yeah, where's he? Is he ranked somewhere?
I don't. He might.
Is he like lightweight or something?
Barely ranked. I don't think he's ranked though right now. He's still young.
What would he be in? Flyweight?
Yeah, he's little dude, man. Because he fights with like Cody Garbrandt and those guys.
Well, okay, where's Garbrandt at? I'm not.
He's a little dude. Actually, no.
There he is. Yeah. Garbrandt. He's at 5.
He should be.
I'm not seeing him in there.
Yeah, so he might not even be up there then yet, man.
Yeah, not seeing him.
Yeah, so he's a young dude, man. But I was saying though, man, man, with some of the fights, man, because I like talking about this just live like this, man. This is organic. I'm digging this scene here, man. I'm gonna have to look into this a little bit more, man.
Is a watch party too much for sure? I'm not putting any pressure on you, but
no, it's not too much. No. But like, I'm that's what I'm saying. I'm like thinking of those type of things because I'm really
you want to react to O'Malley.
Absolutely, like I like that. And then the Gilbert Burns, Stephen Wonderboy, like that's a good fight. Greg Hardy, former NFL player. That's a good, like, I want to see that fight. And it's good to talk about, but obviously I don't feel like right here, man. It's because this is heavy UFC stuff we're going to be getting into with that. And I don't want to bore everybody else with that.